When evaluating an area for investing, I typically like to do research online, and if possible, I like to drive the area. But with new technology, it's becoming easier and easier to evaluate areas remotely. That's what we're going to talk about today, is how to find the best areas to invest in, even if it's not within driving distance. How to find and evaluate deals remotely. What I'm going to be covering, we're going to go through our finding tip, which is going to be failed listings. We do a finding tip every single week. We're going to go through the challenges of remote investing, some things you need to be aware of if you're not living in the area. These are challenges. They are not things that can't be overcome. They can be, and we're going to talk about those. We're going to jump into factors to determine the right area where you should be investing in, and we're going to go through how to evaluate a deal properly so you know what you're getting yourself into. We're going to go through welcomes and updates. We'll go through that finding tip of the week, the topic of the week. We give away a free tool of the week every single week as well. So thanks so much for being with me on this live cast. We certainly love having you. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before making any financial moves, consult with a real estate professional, attorney, CPA, or other professional in the specific subject matter. Everybody's situation is different. There is no one size fits all. DHM may receive payments on the show from sponsors, guests, in the forms of books, items, giveaways, discounts, or other remediations. As with anything in life, results come from education, following a system, hard work, and determination to follow through until the end. I think that is the recipe to success for life. Now, if you haven't already, take just a minute. Take like 10 seconds and type in your name and the city and state you're investing in. If you're investing in multiple places, type that in there as well. I'd really be interested, how many of you are investing or wanting to invest in areas that you don't directly live in? That's more than, I don't know, 30-minute drive. I'd be interested to know that. Type that in the comments as well. Now, every single week, we do this live cast, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single Tuesday. We take that recorded copy and we turn that into a video as well that gets uploaded onto YouTube so you can watch this again. But also every single week, I answer one specific question. So on YouTube, I'm going to put a video. It's anywhere from a few minutes to 10 or 15 minutes, but it answers one specific question, like, do you qualify, or knowing if it's a deal or not in 10 minutes or less, where it answers a specific question. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So you can look at those on a weekly basis as well, which, if you always want to get reminded of those, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button and hit that bell notification. The bell will alert you when a new video is posted, so you can go check it out and take a look at it. Now, if you currently are not a subscriber, first off, I should just give a shout out and a thank you to all of our amazing subscribers. I really appreciate you. We love doing these videos for you and love having you part of our community. Now, if you're listening to me right now and you are not currently a Do Hard Money subscriber, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Our channel is Do Hard Money, and love to have you leave a comment on the recorded video once it becomes a recorded video, not the live cast. And then lastly, the biggest compliment you could possibly give me is telling somebody else about this channel. I put out all this information for free. You're not paying for any of this. And so tell somebody else about it is the biggest compliment you could possibly give me. Now, stay until the end because I'm going to be giving away a property value analysis. What this is going to do is help you determine what that property is really worth so you can value it properly. And it is a spreadsheet that is going to help you figure those things out in determining the value of the property. Stay to the end, and I will give you a copy of this. We use this every single day, guys. You are going to want to get a copy of this. Now for our finding tip of the week. Property finding tip of the week. We're going to be talking about failed listings. What are failed listings? These are properties that go on the MLS but do not get sold. Okay, so it's listed with an agent. The agent has it for a period of time and the property does not sell. So to be listed on the MLS, there's an agent that's representing the seller. That's what's important. Now, the agent has what's called a listing contract, and that listing contract is an agreement between the seller and the agent saying, hey, the agent has the right to have some agency rights, to put a sign on the property, to advertise the property, that they're going to get paid a commission, and if they bring a ready, willing, able buyer. Those types of things are part of this agency agreement. The other thing that's a big thing of this agency agreement is the term of the agency contract or agreement. It's a term, a period of time. It can be anything. It could be 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, you name it. Most typically I see it written for 6 months. But once that agency agreement lapses, then the property goes to expired on the multiple listing. Now, the seller at that point could relist with that agent, or they could sign an extension to give the agent more time, or they could list with another agent. But once that term is over, it's expired. Now, it may be expiring because they didn't like the agent, or it may be expiring because they're frustrated because they didn't get the house sold. So there's several reasons why it could be expiring, meaning it was on the market for a period of time. That time is over and it is now currently not listed. So properties can expire and they can get listed a few days or a few weeks later with another agent or with the same agent could be listing that property. So when you're marketing to expired properties, you just need to realize this, that some of those are going to relist with that same agent. Now, if the agent's on the ball, they're never going to let it expire. They're going to get an extension. They're not going to want it to expire. So there's something to just realize that the good agents aren't going to want to see that happen. Now, you may have to market to some that have already relisted with the same agent or with a new agent that have expired, okay? So the question is like, why do we want to market to failed listings? Well, they obviously wanted to sell their home. They were not able to sell their home for one reason or another. So just marketing to those who want to sell their home is just not enough. We want to make sure they also have equity and they have motivation. Now, the motivation is they recently had their house listed with an agent, so they're probably motivated to actually want to sell. But how do we know if they have equity? Well, what we do is what's called a reverse amortization. Reverse amortization is we say, what year did they get their loan in on their house? And what was the average interest rate in that year? And assuming they made all their payments, we do a reverse amortization and say, if they made all their payments, they would approximately owe this amount of money with the pay down and everything else. Then what we can do is we can look at the properties and we can make a determination as to, we do the math calculation, the interest rate, those types of things, number of years, this is how much is actually owed. Then what we're gonna do is determine if there's any second loans on the property, and we do the same thing to the second loans, reverse amortization, we come up with, we add those two together, and that is the amount of money. Now, Investor's Edge has done this automatically on every single property for you, so I wanna make sure we're jumping over there. Let's just grab a property, actually, let's just go, let's go New Orleans. Okay, New Orleans, let's just grab this. I'm just grabbing a random property, guys. Okay, so the opportunity is 301. How much they owe? This guy owes nothing. So he's probably not a great example. Maybe these are all free and clear properties. Let's do some vacant properties here and see what that does for us. He has a mortgage. This guy, we estimate he owes $131,000. If we look at the mortgage transaction history, he got a loan for $133,000. We estimated 2.8. So he owes $131, but he just got this property last year. Okay, so he owes $131,000. The estimated value of this property is $214. Is basically what we're estimating. That's called an AVM, which we'll talk a little bit here. And this guy also owns another property. So we can do that through the reverse amortization. And for those of you that are members, it does it automatically for you. How nice is that? Because the math isn't very fun. Okay, Investor's Edge has this all done for you as we've been talking about. So next we have to determine the value of the property. And this is called, what we use is called an AVM. Automated Value Management Tool. This is something that banks use. This is computerized, but this is something that being computerized, that banks will use it to double check appraisals or make sure it's a realm of possibility. Are AVMs accurate? Sometimes, but they're supposed to be within the realm of possibility. Now, the data scientists that put AVMs together tell you, hey, this is better than appraisals because it doesn't have any biasness. But then if you talk to an appraiser, you're gonna say the AVMs aren't that good because there is no biasness and real estate is all localized. Well, who wins that battle? I don't know, but I think it's interesting because the AVM should give us close enough where we spend time or money in actually doing marketing. Now, you will want to do your own values research once you go under contract. So once you're under contract, that's the time where you want to spend time to actually look at it and see what those values are going to come in for. But prior to that, I would not spend the time. You're not going to get a return on your investment until you actually get that property under contract. Now, some people will say, well, what if I get it under contract and it doesn't look like it's a good deal? Well, it's pretty simple. If it doesn't look like a good deal, once you get under contract, as long as you've done your contract appropriately, you're going to either renegotiate for a lower price or you're going to withdraw yourself because your inspections and due diligence, and you're going to get any earnest money back, which hopefully you didn't give the seller earnest money. It should be going to a title company or a closing attorney. All right, let's talk a little bit about equity. We take the AVM with the approximate owed amount from the loans is going to equal the equity. And I like to make sure there's at least $50,000 of equity. I prefer to see 20 to 30% in equity is what I would prefer. Now, the next thing is you've got to get in touch with the seller. Okay, that's the thing. This comes down to marketing and sales. So let's talk a little bit about some ways we can actually get in touch with the seller. We can get in touch with the seller by stopping by. We can knock on the door. We can leave a note. We can do what's called a 5-around, where we look at the 2 houses next door and the 3 across the street and talk to the neighbors and try and get their phone number from one of the neighbors or leave your information for them as well. You can also give them a phone call. You can send them a text message. You can send them an email. To do those things, you're going to have to skip trace first. If you'd like to know more about skip trace, check out one of my videos on that. Okay, postcards and letters. Postcards and letters can be sent out. You can also Facebook stalk them. You can find them on Facebook and you can stalk them down, which a lot of people do and do pretty effectively. But my favorite is actually to make phone calls. I call them until we talk to them. That's just the bottom line. I call them until we talk to them. I like to use a phone dialer. It makes things a little bit easier. There's a thing called call reluctance, which basically means if you have to dial them one at a time, it takes a long time. But if the phone dialer is just dialing for you, you're gonna have less call reluctance and get through a lot more. It also helps with some organization and can save you some time and leave voicemails for you depending upon what you want to use. But that call reluctance, like I said, is real. So what do you say to these guys? Well, it's, hey, is this Bill or the owner? Yes, it is. Hey, my name's Ryan. I know it's a random question. I'm interested in buying a home in your area. I'm wondering if you have any interest in selling. That's how easy it is. Now, if they say, yes, I have some interest in selling, then you're going to move forward with what's called our motivated seller script. And so you will go through and answer, they'll answer questions. You'll get into a conversation. If they say no, you're going to say, do you have any other properties or know anyone else that may be interested in selling? That's the process you want to go through as we're talking about expired listings. All right, guys, let's jump into this. How to evaluate deals. Let me grab a drink and how to find and evaluate deals remotely. You don't live in that area. What we're going to be covering today is some of the challenges of remote investing. We're going to jump into the factors to determine the right areas you should be investing in. We're going to talk about how to evaluate a deal and know if it's a good deal. Well, some of the challenges with remote investing is where we're going to get started here. So having people you can trust that are in the area is essential to having success. There's also this issue of local knowledge where you need somebody that really knows the market and knows some of the local knowledge that is there. Once you've determined an area, you'll need to find and make relationships with several people that you can trust. You're going to need a good hard money lender. That's really where it all starts. You're going to need an investor's agent. Investor-friendly real estate agent is what that's going to need, and you're going to need one. Investor-friendly contractors. You're going to need contractors and go to the property that can do the work. Investor-friendly title company or closing attorney. You want somebody that's working with investors, not somebody that doesn't do that. They do refinances all day. Investor-friendly home inspectors. Somebody can go and be your eyes and ears to see what problems are on the property. I mean, honestly, guys, if you do a right inspection, there should be very few surprises that happen to the house. And so get a good walkthrough so you make sure you know what you're getting yourself into. Hazard insurance providers. These are people that are going to give a vacant dwelling policy while you're doing fix up on the property. Property manager, potentially. You could look for a property manager, or you could manage the properties yourself. If you're looking to do the rental, fix and flip, you're obviously not going to need a property manager, or if you're wholesaling. Now, the question really is how do I determine an area? Like, how do I know if it's the right area? Well, first and foremost, find your hard money lender. If your hard money lender, if you find a good hard money lender is going to do the things, but they don't want to lend in that area, don't go to that area. There's a reason why they don't want to. So determine where your hard money lender is willing to lend. And more than likely, your hard money lender is in these areas for a very good reason. So what to look for in hard money lenders, because this is where it all needs to start. You need to look at the loan to value. You need to look at, will they fund the rehab? Will they fund the purchase, the full purchase? Will they fund all the closing costs? And do they require monthly payments, or how does that actually work out? So you're gonna say, well, Ryan, I'm trying to figure out where I want to invest. I'm not trying to find out what lender. No, the reason we want to start with a hard money lender is you can find the greatest areas, and you can say you want to invest in them, and you can even spend time and money and find a property to find out there is not a lender that wants to touch that deal for you. You do not want to get in that situation. So you want to make sure you have a dependable and reliable lender, so you're not wasting your time, your money, and your marketing dollars to make that happen. Now, once you determine where your hard money lender will lend, where they're willing to lend at, then you ask them for, what is your sweet spot? And you're going to say, what do you mean sweet spot? Well, what deals do they love to do? What types of properties do they just love doing? And which ones do they not love doing? Then you go shopping for deals that are in their sweet spot, okay? So basically, it's like, let's find the hard money lender that will do the things that we're going to need. Then we're saying, hey, what areas do you like? Wonderful. And what do you like doing in deals? And those are the deals I'm gonna go look for. And I'm also gonna say, what don't you like doing, so I can make sure I stay away from those deals. This is the way that you can speed up the efficiency of you being able to make a deal happen. Now, how do you determine the area that the hard money lender says, well, we lend in these 10 states? Okay, now how are you going to decide where to go? So once you know your hard money lender will lend there, and you determine their sweet spot, what they actually want to look in, look at states that they're willing to lend in. And there's a few things you can look at. Number one, you can look at Forbes' best states for business. Okay, Forbes goes through and ranks these. You can Google this, you can find it. Where are some of the best states for business? That can make a big difference. So you can start there and start looking through, and it's going to go down and rank those. I wouldn't say you've got to be in the top 10. I just think you probably don't want to be in the bottom 10 or the bottom 20 or something like that. So look through and get a good idea on that. Then we want to match best states against where your lender wants to be lending. And then the other thing you can look at is migration. Migration is basically, where are people leaving? Where is it staying in balance, or where is it not in balance? Don't be in an outbound state. So you can look here, you've got these outbound states. So everything in red you can see is an outbound state, which means people are leaving more than they are coming. If you look at inbound states, these blue ones like Texas and Colorado, more people are coming than are leaving. And if you look at these gray states, they are in balance, meaning they've got the same number of people that are coming that are leaving. So it's not making a big difference on that. Wow, that was cool. Okay, now once you determine the state that you're going to be wanting to buy and invest in, then you have to determine where the major metropolitan areas are. You want to stay away from rural properties. There's a lot of reasons for that. We're going to talk about it, but you want to stay in the major metro areas. And then you want to look at estimating the value. What is the estimated values in that area? Is your lender willing to lend in that range? Now, estimated values in the area may be $2 million, but your lender wants to stay under $500,000. That's not going to work out really well for you. So you want to make sure the area you're moving into is one that your lender is going to want to be in. Most lenders have maximum loan amounts, and most lenders also have minimum loan amounts. So if the area is $50,000 and your lender doesn't want to go under 75, you need to look for a different area. That's what you need to be looking at. Now, finding deals remotely, one of the things that our Investors Edge will do for you, it will put together these types of heat maps to have a really good idea in where the numbers are and where you want to be going. Let's jump over and let me show you a few things right here. Okay, so let's just choose, this is Northern, let's just say Houston, Texas. I'm just gonna look at Houston, Texas here just for giggles, and we're gonna talk about estimated value. We're just going to look at values, estimated value. Okay, so this shows me really easily where prices are. You can see there's the millions of these are under $100,000. So you can see neighborhoods. And one of the mistakes I see a lot of people make is they find a property here that's $100,000, and then they go a couple blocks and they have $500,000 and try and use that as a comp. But there are natural barriers here. It may be roads, it may be a stream, it may just be this area, but you can see here where there's different areas. Now, I don't even have to live in that area to know, hey, these are where the most expensive are, this is the next, and then we start getting here, And you've got expensive homes over here, a little more here, and these are the cheaper properties. Now, that's really important because if your hard money lender is only going to lend to a certain amount, which most of them have some type of a limit on that, you want to make sure that that limit works for the area you're actually going into. Once you determine those things, then you want to actually start looking at statistics. Funny enough, I put Dallas on here. That's awesome. So we're saying, hey, what's happened in the price changes? What's our price per square foot? How many days are on market? If it's taking 100 days to sell a property, it's maybe not an area you want to be in. If prices are going down, it may not be an area that you want to be in. Let's jump over to our Investor's Edge, and I can show you some of these things. So this is Houston. This tells you what's happening in the price changes. I like to go the last like 6 months. So it can tell you how average days on market, 119 days, 102 days, 98 days, 108 days. Average rent, pre-foreclosures. What are we doing with pre-foreclosures? What's happening to values? You can see it's starting to come down. Price per square foot starting to come down a little bit. What's happening with the market trends? Like, this is all information to help you know where you should be going and what is going to be a great area for you to be investing in. Okay, look at those market statistics. Then, how do you find properties out of an area that you actually live in? Well, the first thing I think you've got to do is look for motivation. If they don't have motivation, you're not going to get anywhere. Next thing you got to look for is equity. Do they have equity? That's the next thing you're going to want to make sure that they have. And then based upon that, you're going to build a list of motivation. Now, what makes somebody motivated? Well, we've got to use something that we can find out. So there's a few factors that I think come into play here. One is vacant. One is involuntary liens. They owe money to somebody that they didn't allow them to lien the property, but they are now able to because of a court or judge, whatever the case is. Bankruptcies. Somebody's going through a bankruptcy, out-of-state owner, a non-owner occupied property, a pre-foreclosure property. Those are some things to look at, and there's many more, but then you want to narrow down this list. I want to be looking at residential. I want to be looking at single family, condo, townhome. You may want to look at duplexes, threeplexes, fourplexes. I prefer single family. I want stuff that's not listed on the multiple listing services, and I want to make sure it's in the price range that my hard money lender is willing to do. Not too low, not too high. Those are the things. Make sure it's got equity of 30% or more. Now the thing we got to do is actually market to these leads. What are we going to do to actually market to these leads? I want to jump back over here. So one of the things that we've put together in Investor's Edge is these different buckets. So these buckets are all motivated buckets. So I can come here, and these are vacant properties. With the vacant properties, there's 30% of equity, $500,000 or less, single family. And so this is 6,540 properties that I could go market to without even knowing the area or where it is located, because I've been able to do this market research and I found some good people in the area to help me out. Now, how do we market to these leads? Well, you can send mail to them, you can call them, you can text them, you can email them, or you can simply knock on the door and say, hey, are you interested in selling? How to evaluate the deals? You've got to look at the comparables, and you find comps that are actually in the area. You determine those values. Investor's Edge makes this so much easier. I want to show you why it makes it easier, because I can come and I can look at an area and I can look at what's happening with some of these comparables. What has sold in the area? What are the comparables? I can look at all these comparables. I can see pictures of these properties. Let's see, it looks like that one does not have any pictures. Pictures coming soon. Sorry, we've got an error on that. But so I can look and then I can make decisions as to what my property is actually going to sell for. And I can do that not even living in the state where it is located. Now, I promised you guys the property value analysis. If you text me at 435-294-0433, send me a text and I will send you a copy of our property value analysis that can help you determine what that property is going to sell for. It's something we use every single day and can really help you out. Now, if you're interested, we have our Find Fund Flip system. Check us out at DoHardMoney.com/get started. We have funding, courses, resources, calculators, software, and support. DoHardMoney.com/get started. Check it out. And that does include our Investor's Edge. Now, if you've enjoyed what you've heard today, check out my podcast called Income Hacker. Text your email address 435-294-0433 so you can get a copy of that value form. Now, Next Tuesday at 6 p.m., I'm going to be covering, should you start with wholesales or fix and flips? Which one should you do? Should you start by wholesaling or should you start by fix and flipping? You don't want to be here next Tuesday. We're going to go through in detail on this, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to jump into it. If you haven't already, text me your email address, 435-294-0433. Guys and gals, thank you so much for being with me. I've thoroughly enjoyed this time on this live cast. Keep working at it, keep going, and make it a very profitable day. Bye for now.